Most people talk about making change in their life, but they never actually do anything. You're not broken. We're all the same. The difference between those people that make a change is because they do this one thing first, whether they realise it or not. And today I'm going to share with you exactly what that is and a blueprint to make it happen. You may recognise this. You wake up one day and you think you want to make a huge change in your life. And here in itself lies the problem. That change could actually be a really big thing. And your brain just can't cope with it. It's too much, so nothing changes and you stay the same. Change becomes possible when you build evidence to support the fact that you can make a change. Before confidence, before motivation, before momentum, before anything, you need proof. And this is why, and it's all to do with your brain. There's this thing called neuroplasticity that takes place within your head. Your brain is constantly adapting and it's based upon experience. So if you start doing something different, you actually fire different pathways within your brain. And your brain can then rewire itself based upon what you repeatedly do. So when you repeat a behavior, your neurons actually fire together, and then over time they wire together. There's that famous saying, isn't there, that repeats that. So if you get up at 6 a.m. and you move your body for 10 minutes and you do this repeatedly, what you're telling yourself is that this is normal. And this is the basis for any kind of new positive habit that you want to install in your life. Unfortunately, it also has a flip side. So if you wake up at 6 a.m. and you think, oh, I can't be bothered, and you hit your snooze button again, and you wake up 20 minutes later and you're already late, you're then telling yourself you're not consistent, you're not showing up for yourself. Your brain wants to prove you right, and that is true whether it's a good thing you're trying to reinforce or a bad thing. You're building evidence either way. And the only question is, what is it that you want to build evidence to support? The good version of yourself or the version that doesn't trust who you are? Most people try to change themselves from the outside in. So they may change their schedule, they may change their diet, they may even change their jobs. But none of this will actually stick unless they change the belief that they have in themselves, and this comes with evidence. And this is key. So every time you follow through on a promise to yourself, no matter how small, what you're effectively saying is you trust in yourself. You're not motivated by something externally, you're motivated by a feeling of committing to the person that you want to become. You become somebody that you can rely on, and this changes everything. We look at people externally who we may perceive to be successful for various different reasons. This might be that they've built an amazing business, or that they've lost weight, or that they've overcome something in their lives that for you just seems phenomenal. But all they've done is committed to themselves and made a decision. It's often a bold, unapologetic commitment to themselves, but it is as simple as making one decision to commit and supporting that version of themselves that they trust. They started small and they built evidence within their brains that that's the version of themselves that they could become. They rewired their brains using this evidence to suggest that they are the kind of person that shows up, they can make hard decisions, and they certainly don't need anybody else's permission to evolve. And that in itself is the route to lasting change. So here is the blueprint for you to do this. Here is how you build evidence to support the version you want to become. And it's a 3-step process. Firstly, you have to shrink the promise. Going back to my old example, where you want to make dramatic change, you have to make that change as small as possible, or you're never ever going to achieve it. So let's say you want to lose 3 stone by the end of the summer, without obviously using any kind of injectable, because that makes it a lot easier. And so you have to shrink that promise to yourself in order to hit the big goal. The point here isn't the result, the point is the process. So that promise, if you shrink it as small as possible, could be as little as getting outside to exercise for 10 minutes a day. And once you do that consistently, then you can rewire your brain. And that is point number 2. So you have to repeat it to rewire it. It may feel uncomfortable, Even if it is just 10 minutes, but if you know that you're showing up for yourself, you can do it consistently. And my third point will make that as easy as possible. You track the evidence, you track your progress, and how you do that is you record how you're feeling. So before each time you show up to do your exercise or whatever it might be that you want to change, you film yourself, even if it's just for 10 seconds, and you talk about what you're going to do and how you're feeling. And then at the end, you repeat the same thing. You repeat what you've done and how you're feeling. So you can track exactly the difference that it's making over time. So every time you film yourself and every time you do the process, you're building a different foundation within yourself that says, I can trust myself to make a change. And the best bit with all of this is your brain remembers. How I track this? It's on a spreadsheet, and I literally colour the spreadsheet in. For me, for some reason, colouring it in really helps and makes a difference. So you don't need more motivation. You don't need anybody externally telling you that you can do this. You simply need to decide, pick the evidence that you want to track and do it. Because every single day, your brain requires evidence to show to itself that it can change. And it doesn't matter how small that is, you then build upon it. It's basically suggesting that change can happen one neural connection at a time, and you're giving yourself the proof that you can be trusted then to make the bigger changes in your life that will naturally follow. Because what will happen is this whole process will evolve and you can use it to make bigger and bolder changes. Let me know what you think. Let me know how you get on. If you found this useful, I would love for you to subscribe, share it with people who you think may benefit from this video today.